This is an examination of the hidden human condition.
This is the Hidden Killers Podcast.
The Hidden Killers Podcast.
With Tony Brueski.
We are joined right now by retired FBI Special Agent Jennifer Coffindaffer. We're talking about Brian Kohberger in this segment. Obviously, Speedy Trial is now gone, and there's not going to be an October 2nd trial date. You've been predicting this from the beginning. I guess the question now is, where do we go from here?
Well, there's a lot happening. Where we go from here is going to be a deluge of defense motions. We've already seen one come in, and that is to have the grand jury indictment overturned. And it's based on interesting four aspects. First, the defense is saying, there was a biased grand jurors. Second, inadmissible evidence was presented. Third, there was a lack of evidence presented. And fourth, they are alleging prosecutorial misconduct and specifically withholding exculpatory evidence. So pretty big scuds expected. We knew once they subpoenaed or not subpoenaed, but motioned to the court to have all the grand jury documents turned over to them. This is what they were going to prepare.
Did they hold any ground with any of these claims, any of these four? Do any of them have any legs that the judge will look at and go, yeah, you got truly some issues here, some cases that are some aspects that we need to address?
Well, unfortunately, everything is sealed. So because it is sealed, we can't even examine it. What is their basis for saying, there were biased grand jurors or the evidence was inadmissible? So it would be just spitballing, saying what their facts are and the basis for those facts. So it kind of ties our hands a little bit with looking at this and trying to figure out. But number 4, the prosecutorial misconduct, withholding exculpatory evidence. They've been crying that since really months now, particularly concerning Bethany Funk. And I think it's just so important to understand that exculpatory really just means not inculpatory. So sometimes that can be just by omission. Sometimes that could be a statement that says, I didn't hear anything. Right. So that's exculpatory when Dylan Mortensen says, well, she heard something. So I don't know what it's going to be, but I can tell you that from watching the hearings and reading the motions preceding this motion, this is Ann Taylor's style. Every defense attorney has a style, and her style is to just really go to the throat of the prosecution. She was admonished actually in the last hearing where Judge said, listen, we're attorneys here. We're part of the court system, and they are all sworn, to uphold, to not lie and things like that, even though it happens. And so he said, at some point you got to believe the prosecution when he says they don't have anything. And I thought that was an interesting, although soft admonishment by the judge, but he is telling her, kind of knock it out.
Yeah, I mean, when the prosecution made that argument too, saying, look, they keep asking for this, we don't have it. I guess we'll send another email asking if there's something we're missing, but we already gave them everything that we possibly know to exist. And the fact that she keeps digging, is that because she knows there's more somewhere that maybe even the prosecution doesn't have, or is it just her way of doing things like you said, and she's going to keep banging on that piñata until every piece of candy comes out of it, whether it's empty or not?
Yep, she's banging piñatas right now, in my opinion. And I've seen it before. It really depends on the attorney's style. I've seen this before where in cases that I worked where they just keep coming and saying something's there. And even though you open up every file you have, everything is at their, leisure to look at. We call it open discovery. They still say, oh, something's missing. And there's, it's just
Yeah.
I like that. It's banging pinatas.
Yeah, it kind of is.
This is the Hidden Killers Podcast.
Want more? Start binging on all of our true crime podcasts right now through Apple Podcasts and get an ad-free experience when you sign up to be a True Crime Today Premium Plus member exclusively on Apple Podcasts.
More of the Hidden Killers Podcast, dropping soon.
Press subscribe now.